Keane reporting. Let's just cross live to Jerusalem. These are pictures here of Mike Pence, as you can see, standing alongside the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, just listening to the national anthems. Mike Pence, US Vice President, first senior American politician to arrive in Jerusalem or in Israel after that announcement back in December the 6th, that the US was going to move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, causing widespread anger in the Arab world. He's not going to be meeting any of the Palestinian leaders. In fact, Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, is not even in the country at the moment. He's in Belgium, trying to get recognition for Palestine and with its headquarters to be, or its capital to be, in Arab East Jerusalem. The focal point, I think, of these talks between Mike Pence, who is a committed evangelical, and right-winger, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, would appear to be Iran. In fact, let's get more on this with our correspondent Tom Bateman, who joins us now from Jerusalem. Mike Pence arrived via Jordan, Tom, and some pretty awkward discussions there with King Abdullah, which presumably are going to continue for his visit here as well.
Yeah, that's right, because this was a regional tour which started in Egypt and then moved to Amman, the capital of Jordan. He spoke to King Abdullah there. And of course, remember that the Jordanians are the custodians of some of the key holy sites in Jerusalem that are holy to Muslims. And so there were exchanges of words about the issue, about the US declaration that it recognises Jerusalem as Israel's capital, of which Mr. Pence said they would just simply have to agree to disagree. But as he arrives in Israel, as he arrived last night in Israel, now, as you see, in Jerusalem, meeting the Israeli Prime Minister. I mean, they didn't quite embrace when Mr. Pence got out of the car there, but I think metaphorically, the embrace from the Israelis could not be warmer, could not be more congratulatory. Mr. Netanyahu said last night he regards Mr. Pence as a true friend, a great friend of Israel, in light of that declaration, and those really celebratory occasions will continue, I think, over the next couple of days. This afternoon there will be a special session in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, for Mr. Pence. He will speak there. But I think the way in which, as you mentioned, the Palestinians are boycotting this could not illustrate more clearly the way in which the declaration has polarised the two sides here, because the Palestinians will have no contact whatsoever with Mr. Pence. He will not travel to the occupied West Bank. He will not meet Mr. Abbas, as you say, out of the country. And at that Knesset session this afternoon, the Arab members of the Israeli parliament have said they will absent themselves. They will boycott the speech, with the leader of the Joint List, the Arab grouping, third biggest faction in the Knesset, describing Mr. Pence as a messenger for what he called a racist political pyromaniac in the form of Mr. Trump.
What about talks, and what about positions on Iran? Will that be top of the agenda?
Absolutely, because I think well before you hear anything about advances towards what the Americans hope will be the ultimate deal, a peace process, the words you will hear fall from the lips of Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Pence before anything else will be Iran, and the key concern they have about the Iranians trying through their proxies to gain a foothold in parts of the Middle East that they believe poses a key security risk, not just to the state of Israel, but also to the wider world, and particularly to the US. So I expect we'll hear lots about that, both in some short statements that will be made by Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Pence in the next hour or so, and also, as I say, at that Knesset session this afternoon.
OK, Tom, with the latest from Jerusalem, thank you very much indeed.